Talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. The Intellectual Podcast starts now.
Shall we do this?
We shall do this. Welcome to the 184th episode of the Intellectual Podcast. I'm Dave Dawson. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get right into the episode. I'm sitting at Studio Unseen, also known as Third Space, here in University Heights with my very dear friends, Miss Allie Lennox.
Hi.
And Mike Peterson.
What's up?
We're going to talk Oscars. That's what's up.
Ooh, Oscars 2017.
And Allie is our resident Oscars expert. That's what I'm going to start calling you now.
Oh, thank you. That makes me feel bad for not having a TV and being able to. I did try streaming it. I was able to steal the show for about 15 minutes on Sunday night.
Well, I believe this is like the first year that they streamed it live, too, like on purpose. So
they only streamed it live on ABC. I tried that
on the
only
ABC app.
Only if you're in Chicago or a couple other cities. It was not available to San Diego.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I tried.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I watched it on the ABC app on my Apple TV today because I was working when the Oscars happened. So,
work.
Yay, work.
Yes.
Boy, I've needed it. Although I feel like I've had too much of it. It's like it's feast or famine, right?
Such is the life of freelance.
Right? Yeah, seriously. But the beauty of it is that you get to complain no matter what. So
yeah, you either have too much work or not enough work, or you got a shitty boss, or
no boss,
or you're sick and you're forced to work. And, it's like you're never happy when it comes to work. But Oscars. So
yes.
Going into this year's Oscars, I realized that I watched very few of the like big films. The upper echelon best picture movies.
Me as well. And December is usually when I watch those films, and I honestly feel I know every year like there's I know like what 2 years 3 years ago was 12 Years a Slave, but this year like a lot of the movies were depressing. Even Lion, which was going to be very uplifting and beautiful. I feel like you have to go through a lot of the depressing part of the film to get to the
there were like two best picture nominees that weren't depressing movies.
Yeah, I mean, and
those are the two I
La La
watched.
Land, well, even La La Land made me cry. So
well, yeah, La La Land did make me cry. La La Land was like all the feels.
Yeah, all the feels.
But basically I'll go see anything that's got Emma Stone in it. And because Hidden Figures was about NASA and specifically about the female computers at NASA, it's kind of an untold story. And it's one that I was aware of prior to knowing about the movie. But to get to see that story play out, like, I don't know, it just warmed my heart.
How were you aware of it?
I wasn't going to go see it until you had that extra ticket and you brought me along.
Oh, really?
And I was blown away.
Yeah.
Oh, I was. Not only is it probably my favorite movie of the year, even more so than La La Land, I remember going into it being like, I want to leave here feeling empowered. And I left feeling empowered. It was such a great, a little Disneyfied, but it was, it was good.
I knew about those ladies because I grew up wanting to be an astronomer, and I was super into NASA growing up as a kid. And my dad was a nuclear engineer, and he was very brainy, and he was very much a fan of NASA and the work that NASA did. He grew up watching the space race. He grew up, right at that time when we were making all those leaps. And so he was very in tune with all that stuff anyway, and he was just a very researched kind of person. My dad was definitely a bookworm type, and so he read everything he could ever read about the space race and about NASA. And in turn, as a child who was interested in astronomy, and I was obsessed with the space shuttle as a kid, my dad and I had lots of talks about that stuff, and I actually asked him where the term computer comes from.
You and I had this conversation after the movie. I had no idea what an actual computer came from.
And my dad said, well, it's from computing, and it's an old math term, and it was referenced oftentimes in NASA to people who did computing. They were known as computers. And then when the machines took over, the machines adopted the name of computer.
All from computing, like on your calculator.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Ledger.
Yeah. So through those discussions, we talked about.
But he actually learned about it from a book, because the thing that shocks me the most is that in basic American history, that's not included, like that, not even a footnote in the story, you know?
Yeah.
And
it's the piece that like the right stuff just didn't talk about.
Yeah.
And actually that was when my dad first brought it up to me. He's like, there were a lot of people not mentioned in this particular project here. He's like, yeah, those guys were great, but there was a whole support team beneath them. And that's when I kind of learned about the inner workings of NASA and how things operate. So.
And I believe I read that it was actually true that John Glenn, I'm correct, right? The name?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Actually refused to go off to liftoff without confirming with the girl, as he called her.
I looked into that a bit when I wrote the review for the movie.
Oh, yeah?
And that was actually the one part of the film that they took the biggest liberty with.
Oh.
Because even the computers at the time, the IBM and the humans couldn't do those calculations in a matter of a couple of hours. And they were actually doing those confirmations several days ahead.
Way to make the white man look good.
But John Glenn, being John Glenn, and his affinity for the computers, for the ladies, was true.
Oh, okay.
So they took a little bit of liberties with how they represented that, but whether he like put the foot down and said, "I'm not going to go till she's confirmed the computer," like that's one of those things that may or may not have been true. But you know, you got to dramatize for a film. You got to compress time. You got to figure out ways to build drama. So I kind of like I'll let that one slide. You know,
I think with
the thing for me. Is it even about those ladies doing the math for that stuff? It was the end cards. It was the discussions on how they progressed women and women of color forward, even beyond that moment that was represented in the film. They are so instrumental in so many things advancing forward for women and women of color. Like it's just
and how they worked on
incredible
from the inside. I love the argument that Janelle Monáe has with her husband. Yes, he is the supporting actor winner. Yeah. I'm not going to say his name because I'll butcher it and sound really white. But I love the argument they had that it was like sometimes you can advance from the inside, not just from the outside. And I think that is very important and really interesting.
Sometimes you can be really angry and aggressive to make things advance, and sometimes you can advance by leading on the inside.
And you do it where you can.
That was great. Yeah.
Yeah. But getting into Oscar night, do we want to start off with the big flub? Do we want to start off from the beginning?
Let's talk about the flub first, because that was the unavoidable thing. Like, I'm working, and it's all I'm hearing about. And
oh yeah,
yeah.
I got the text. I was like, "What? What happened?"
Yeah, yeah. And actually, it's funny because I did manage to stream. Momentarily on my phone, I was streaming Emma Stone winning her award, and I was like, "Oh, great!" You know, I was super happy because like I love that woman, and like this is fantastic. I knew it. I knew she'd win because La La Land's amazing. And then I was like, I gotta shut this off and get back to what I'm doing, and I shut it off. And then like minutes later, I'm getting messages like, "Holy shit! Did you see what just happened?" I'm like. What?
No, I didn't, damn it.
I'm like, well, the time's to turn it off.
This is the part where you telling me what happened.
Like just moments shy. I missed that whole bit, but I got to watch it today, and wow, Warren Beatty, man, he was so confused.
Well, but here's the thing. I think, he was confused. But if anything, I think Faye Dunaway.
Faye Dunaway's the one
she's the one that effed it up.
She's the one that, she was just like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah,
La La Land. Like, she didn't even read the whole card. She just looked for the name.
And the way the guy from La La Land, so kind of, in a way, aggressively was like, no, Moonlight won. See, look.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought that was fascinating, just his reaction. You know, a little bit of like how, I think he was probably a little bit like upset, but at the same time happy and feeling the injustice of it. But it was an interesting reaction.
Well, it's got to be a weird position to be put in too, because it's also this weird thing. If you looked at the dynamic after both films were on stage, It's like the white movie and the colored movie, you know, and after everything that happened last year with all the discussion about the Oscars being so white and whatever, for them to goof that particular.
Oh yeah. And one female executive producer too. So it was color and female.
You know, and it's like to have that be the moment that they messed up is pretty substantial, you know?
So how much weight do you guys put into the, like, I guess you can call it conspiracy theory that this was a stunt done on purpose?
I don't know. I was reading around the other day, and what I was reading was what happens is they have the envelopes on both sides of the stage.
Oh, they have duplicates.
They have duplicates. So when one is opened on stage, the other one that wasn't brought up gets opened. And so that's how they make sure that they don't duplicate. But what I was reading is the one guy on the one side of the stage,
right, the one that was tweeting and texting.
He was tweeting, and he forgot to open the envelope that he was supposed to open, and that's the envelope that ended up getting into Warren Beatty's hands. So that sounds, in today's day and age, super credible.
Yeah.
Because I don't, you know, I work shows. I work these kinds of events all the time, and you see it with meeting planners, and you see it with guys who are going to be speaking and whatever, like right before they go on stage, or the people who are working on stage sometimes get lost in the little things they're doing on their phone. We all get lost in the things we're doing on our phone. And I could see that totally happening.
Yeah, I don't really blame the guy. I do wonder why, because they have, you know, it's called a rehearsal. They have a schedule. They know who's coming out what side. Why do they even have duplicates? I mean, I do know why, because just in case, for some reason, somebody's not where they're supposed to be. Yes, I guess. Yeah.
So, you know, I look, when I was younger, I bought into like every conspiracy theory on the planet. The problem for me with conspiracy theories is once you start jumping down the idea that those things are things people are doing, then everything is warranted to be a conspiracy. Like,
that's a good point. That's a fair point.
And having been on the other side of that table now, working with the film awards here in San Diego and listening to people complain and hearing the arguments, you know, I've had them directed at me. Mm-hmm. You know, I've heard it. I've heard the arguments directed at me. Well, he does so much stuff and intellectual entertainment, you know, sponsors events and whatnot. Well, of course he's being nominated for stuff. And it's like, that's just not fucking true. You know, I don't get nominated for stuff because I volunteer time to help out.
And you're not the only one.
Like
everyone who helps the consortium are part of the community. That's why people help.
Exactly. And who's going to put together an award show for our industry if not people from our industry?
Exactly. Yeah.
Who's going to put on events like Film Week for people in our industry if not people in our industry? And if you're so bent out of shape that other people are getting nominated for stuff and they're volunteering for things, then maybe you should come volunteer for stuff, find out what the fuck you're talking about, you know, and then you can come and argue about whether or not somebody got favoritism or not for helping out. But if you're just sitting on the sidelines and you're bitching, you're playing, you know, backseat driver, get off your fucking ass and come help out and see how much work all these volunteers put into these events, and vice versa, when you get to the Oscars, how much work all those paid people are putting into their events, and how many variables there are to get these things to even flow halfway decently so that the experience is good for the people who are receiving things and are getting nominations and are getting awards. It's a lot of damn work.
Yes, which is why I think it was unfair for the photographer who caught a picture of the accountant to post it, to expose it. I don't think you need to put a face to this guy's name. I mean, the the company, he's no longer going to be working with the Oscars. They didn't fire him. I don't think he should have deserved to be fired. You know, like, you were working behind the scenes, and you happen to have a chance to take, you know, some Twitter photos or some pictures of, like, of course you're going to do that. That's like the one perk.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. So
it's the one perk. That guy doesn't get paid extra to show up and work the Oscar show. He makes his salary at PricewaterhouseCoopers doing the work that he does there. I guarantee you he doesn't get paid extra for all the effort that they put into doing the Oscar show. It's just part of the job. And yes, one of the perks is he gets to stand backstage with a bunch of, incredibly famous people. And I'm sorry, Emma Stone goes walking past me. I'm going to stop and take a picture. I'm going to tweet it out. Like, look at me. Look where I am. It's what I'm going to do, and I work in this damn business.
I did love how Kimmel took the opportunity to say now Steve Harvey's off the hook. I thought that was just well done.
I blame Steve Harvey. He said, Did you read about Steve Harvey's tweet the next morning?
No, what did he say?
He wrote, "Went to bed early last night. What'd I miss?"
Aww, cute. I love Steve Harvey.
But yeah, I found the whole thing fascinating. Just how much people were like, "Whoa, you can't believe what just happened," But I don't buy into it being a conspiracy theory. Because Hollywood people don't like egg on their face.
No.
They just don't. And that's a huge bit of egg on the face. And it's egg on two iconic, classic Hollywood actors.
That's true.
You would not do that to them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's egg on the face of all the La La Land people who were giving speeches. Right?
The third guy probably didn't need to say anything because he already knew at that point. But because he was like, "Oh, by the way, we lost."
Like, well, I got the chance.
But let me thank my mom and dad first.
I think he heard the discussion behind him. But it's an uncomfortable situation to put all of these people who build their careers around their public personas and around their public face. It doesn't scream of the type of thing you would do for a stunt. There's a lot of things you would do for a stunt to build the publicity of your show. Making your people on stage look like idiots would not be one of them.
And I believe, as it turned out, ratings were at the lowest in the past 5 years. So,
well, yeah, because all the right wingers didn't watch.
Oh, so it's not because they didn't stream it to everybody who doesn't have a TV.
Everybody who thinks Meryl Streep's so overrated didn't watch.
Can we talk about the subtle Trump stabs? Because I thought a lot of them were perfectly indirect.
Yeah, Kimmel was really good. He was very, they were, if you've been following anything at all, they were very obvious, but they were also very subtle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He even threw in a subtle Scientology thing, and I loved that.
To Mel Gibson.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's perfect. Because he's, so Christian.
Yeah, but the whole thing with the Trump jokes, I thought they were appropriately done. They were well timed, and they fit right in with Kimmel's usual shtick. But for me, the highlight of the night, jokes wise, was all the Matt Damon stuff.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked all of it. I didn't love where he's sitting there reviewing his film. Everything else I thought was great. I would have liked to maybe.
But you only
Matt
watched
Damon on
clips
stage.
of the night.
Yeah, that's true.
So you didn't see the whole night.
You're right.
So all through the night, actors were doing these clip bits.
Oh.
So, it was a continual thing all night where like Seth Rogen was sitting in a chair in that little theater watching Back to the Future and talking about how influential Michael J. Fox's performance in Back to the Future was to his career.
Yes.
And it was like a whole bunch of those spread throughout the night. And then it culminated with Kimmel sitting in there watching We Bought a Zoo. And talking about how great it was that he sat in a theater all alone because it was an empty theater. It was just him and Matt and a bunch of animals.
Right.
And, Matt worked very hard with very little talent, it was like, it was so funny. And then the whole playing Matt off when he was presenting.
Oh, that was great. I loved that.
Priceless.
Oh, it's just it's probably like the longest running joke now in Hollywood history is the Kimmel Matt.
It's hilarious.
It's so good. Well, was it last year that he came out when Jimmy was up for best host or something, but he came out afterwards after Jimmy lost to John Oliver going, "Hey, I missed it. Who won?" It was so good.
Did you see the episode of Kimmel when Matt Damon took control of the show?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I think it's fantastic. The whole running gag thing is just.
I love how
when Affleck snuck him on.
Yes, I love how he says too. He's like, yeah, the most our highest rated, biggest streamed thing that started the whole stunt to begin with. Well, after him bumping him from stage was the I'm bleeping Matt Damon. I'm fucking Matt Damon, which he had nothing to do with. So it's kind of great. And I still enjoy watching it.
Yeah. And I enjoyed when they announced them coming out. You know, 2-time Oscar winner Ben Affleck and guest.
Oh. So good.
I'll have to go and watch that because I didn't see that.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh,
it's
so
so fun.
That's actually why I was going to look forward to the Oscars this year, is because I do like Jimmy Kimmel, and I knew there would be so much of the Matt Damon stuff, and that he wouldn't be too much. No offense, Jimmy Fallon, too much of a suck up.
Well, that's Jimmy Fallon's shtick.
No, and that is.
He's such a suck up.
Yeah, which is fine.
But I think it's
if you
wearing
like that.
thin because his ratings have been dropping. You know? So, and I think there's a lot of lefties who can't forgive Fallon for being such a suck up to Donald Trump when he was on the show. So
Yeah,
it bites you both ways.
That's true.
Opening number, I thought it was great having JT singing the song from Trolls, and doing that walk through the Dolby Theater. It's always going to be the Kodak Theater to me, even though Kodak's like no longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing that whole number, walking through the audience and everything, I thought that was just a lot of fun. And I thought it was a great, energetic way to start the Oscars. I don't think you'll ever beat the Billy Crystal days when he did all the parodies of the different films.
Stuff, I know.
Those were so much fun, but that was Billy Crystal's thing.
Yeah,
and
he was probably
Jimmy
the best.
Kimmel, he's fun. He does his skits on his show and stuff, but I thought it was a good choice to do a very upbeat number from one of the films from no other than Justin Timberlake, who did the music in the movie and I think was the voice of the lead character in Trolls. I thought it was a great way to start the night.
I like the mic toss.
Yeah, that was
Mic
funny.
toss. And then the whole bit between him and Kimmel too was really funny.
All about Ellen NSYNC letting him back into the band.
Yep.
Yeah, that's revisionist history. Yeah. Well, and also I will say I really enjoyed. Sorry, Ryan Gosling, but I really enjoyed hearing the La La Land, the mix-up, the mashup from John Legend, because his voice is just extraordinary, and yeah, that was a good bit. I did not watch them in memoriam though. Did you?
Man, I was in tears.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in an emotional state anyway because I'm still recovering from my mom dying. So sitting there and watching it today,
Oh, I'm
you know,
sure.
I was just I was literally, I had tears streaming down my face, and my sister walked in the room. She's like, "Oh, I'll be back." She's like, "I watched this last weekend. I'll be back."
I didn't get a chance to watch any of the Oscars, so it's like the end clip. But like they threw in Bill Paxton, which had just happened that day.
Yeah, well, day before, but yeah,
Was it the day before? Okay.
Yeah, he died on Saturday.
Oh, okay.
The news went out
Right,
Sunday.
right.
But yeah, watching Jennifer Aniston try and intro the memoriam video, and she was getting choked up. She mentioned that he passed away the day before, and she started to lose it.
61.
Yeah, same age as my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it.
I
It's
highly,
hard.
speaking to go off of that, I do highly recommend everyone watch the Debbie Reynolds, Carrie Fisher documentary. I believe it's on
HBO.
HBO, thank you, and it's first of all, as the mother daughter dynamic, I think it's extraordinary. The whole, you can see how Debbie's always trying to still be on in show business, and Carrie Fisher's trying to do like a deep dive into their like relation. It's so good, and
They were the most fascinating mother daughter dynamic in Hollywood.
crazy, very yeah.
And if you've followed their dynamic for any number of years, the fact that they went one day after the other.
Oh, I know.
I'm thoroughly convinced that Debbie Reynolds' heart was just broken.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely. I remember sitting in the morning of talking to my mom about, and she was like, I just can't imagine how Debbie Reynolds feels to lose your daughter, to outlive your own daughter. And then, a day later. But yeah, so watch it. Watch it, Mike.
There's also a one-woman show on HBO that Carrie Fisher did from a few years back, but it's hilarious, and it's all about her and her life growing up under her mother and her father, and it's really funny. I can't remember the name of it, but
yes.
Yeah, you definitely need to watch it. Both of the Carrie Fisher things that are on HBO are worth streaming. If you got the HBO apps, they're available there.
And if not, you can always watch this year's best documentary feature, OJ Made in America.
That's right.
Which is the Netflix, the ESPN series. It's on Netflix. I've watched that as well. It's really good. I think it's actually probably better in the sense that it's more insightful than what what's his name's OJ Simpson, the other one with Marsha. The series? No, you're not going to help me out on this one.
Well, yeah, because there were two that were going on simultaneously.
American Crime Story, the O.J. Simpson trial, which was the narrative series, and then the ESPN documentary, O.J. Made in America. The ESPN documentary is really good because you get a lot of interviews from his childhood friends about that transition from kind of the streets and the gangs of San Francisco to getting into USC, and basically how he formulated that kind of the psyche of becoming white in his head, or kind of, escaping his own blackness.
Right.
So I highly recommend it. That was a shoo-in to win, and it did win.
Nice. Were there any surprises for you in the night?
Any surprises? I surprised only that they're continuing this trend of splitting the Best Director, Best Picture winners. They did it last year, and that was like only the 5th time in Oscar history, with Spotlight and the one with the bear.
The Revenant.
Yeah, that one. Clearly, I watched it. This year, it was La La Land went to Damien Chazelle, and Best Picture went to Moonlight. I think it's a very political, a PC way to. I have a feeling this is going to be a future trend.
Did you see a lot of the photos and the tweets afterwards of after the flop reactions of stars?
No.
Both in the audience and on stage. They're hilarious. One, Ryan Gosling's trying to hold back a laugh.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I saw Emma Stone mouthing, "Oh my god, oh my
yeah.
god."
But the best one I saw was a meme with Damien Chazelle, and it's just a face, just a shocked face, and the meme said something like, "This is where a supervillain is created."
Totally.
That moment when a supervillain is created.
Yeah, that one was funny. He's just like in the background while
Yeah.
That is
And then Meryl
hilarious.
Streep's just like in awe and trying to cry, like she's crying, and it's like so over dramatic, but it's her. Yeah, Matt Damon does some stuff too. He's just there's a whole bunch of the photos
Do I
that
clap?
people are just in awe of what's going on. And they're great to look at.
Yeah. I'm sure it was a sober. I'm sure a lot of people got sober at that moment. Like, oh, wow, this is an exciting show. No, I hate to bang on it. I love the Oscars.
I enjoyed the parachutes of candy.
Oh, I thought that was adorable. Yeah. I loved Taraji P. Henson's reaction to it. That was
How
so
excited
cute. She was like,
donuts.
So good. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure she'd probably start like, I'm super hungry in this tight ass dress. But yeah, I also, so I don't think any of Jimmy Kimmel's jokes came off racist. That was one of the titles that I had read, because I just skimmed the titles and didn't actually read the articles.
Like in fantastic internet fashion.
I know, exactly. My other one, which I already told you about, that had me, I was so frustrated by, was someone said, Oscar, what happened last night reminded me of the Oscars of 2005, Brokeback Mountain losing to Crash. And it made me so mad because first of all, I don't know which one this person was considering to be the Brokeback Mountain of the two, but neither were the Crash of the two. First off, I don't think there was a clear winner ahead, although that's not fair to me for me to judge because I'm doing Moonlight. But yeah, that bothered. I mean, I don't think that was anything to do with it, because I think that the film that was supposed to win won. I think it would have been, wah if La La had won. Like, I mean, it'd been great and happy, but like it's definitely a Hollywood.
Both of those movies won a lot of awards through the night.
Exactly.
And going into the night, I mean, I said it when I watched La La Land in December that I thought La La Land would like just take home almost everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't surprised when I saw all the nominations. I was like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I was surprised that it didn't take home Best Picture, considering the Best Director, considering Best Actress. It was a surprise for me.
But it didn't get nominated for SAG, and SAG's often a big predictor of who wins it, which I think is an interesting.
For me, like, I haven't seen any of the other films. La La Land was great, but I don't know if it deserved Best Picture. It was wonderful, but it's just a nostalgic factor.
Well, I guess that comes down to a question of what do you consider the criteria for Best Picture?
Right. The music was phenomenal, the acting was great, all that.
Because on top of anything else, like Allie was pointing out, so many of the movies nominated for Best Picture this year were just fucking
depressing, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, and it's like, yeah, okay, I get films. I like making downer pictures. Like, you know, Jody's always on my ass that all the movies I make are
Make
sad.
a comedy, damn it.
You know, go back to making comedies. You're funny when you make comedies. It's like I enjoy making comedies, but I also I just love the working with the actors to make the dramas. Yep. Like for me as a director, that's when I feel kind of the most joy as a director is pulling performances out of an actor to make people feel stuff.
Yes.
You know, the vice versa to that, comedy's great, but I don't think, for me as a filmmaker, as a director, I feel less in charge of the comedy.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
Right? The comedy is so much about the editor's pacing on the edit, the musician's pacing on the music,
Actors' timing.
the actors' timing, and the actors
and improv, and all
the actors'
that.
and the actors bring something completely different to comedy. I don't think you can direct comedy the way you direct dramas, the way you direct feel good movies.
Well, look at a lot of the comedy actors are their own directors for that reason. Also,
right.
Seth Rogen, Adam
Mel
Sandler,
Brooks.
Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
They were because they can act on it and they can improv and do whatever they want, but they're the brilliant mind behind it also.
Mm-hmm. So you know, from that token, I don't think we'll ever see a comedy win Best Picture. I just don't. But I don't think, because a movie's nostalgic, because a movie's a feel good movie, I don't think that should be like the write off. Like,
right.
I don't think it is a write off. I think it's.
But I did hear that from a lot of people.
Yes. No, and you're
well,
right.
Look at the year that
The Artist.
Oh my God! Yes, thank you. The Artist. Mm-hmm. Black and white, no sound. That one, because hey, it's a flashback to an old silent film. Mm-hmm. This is back to the old musical days, which I love.
This was
a
flashback.
Modernity of this musical. That's what I loved.
Yes.
It had the old traditionality of kind of a scene brings you to your feet, brings you into song moment, but it was so modern in in the choreography, in the situations,
and how it ended.
Oh God,
the ending was great.
The ending was not a Hollywood ending.
No.
You know what? I will give you that. It was that was
not a Hollywood ending, and it was so beautifully acted by Emma Stone, who didn't say a word in that final scene. And that whole situation of her in that final scene just sat with me for days afterwards because of the truth of that moment.
Yep.
The reality of how their relationship grew, expanded, and finished. And that moment of re-encountering somebody that you had something so important in your life.
And how things could
later,
have been different
you know?
if certain choices and
and
communication.
that whole flash through where they went through what could have been.
Yeah.
You know, if things had happened just slightly differently, you know, is like.
Although
we all
I will
go
say
through
that kid was awfully old for only having been 5 years. I was a little like, wait, okay. So she went and she became famous.
She got
engaged, had a
right
baby.
away.
The baby's like 2 years old now, and it's only been 5 years.
But, you know, aside from that little bit, but I just found the ending of that movie so satisfying.
Oh, absolutely.
And so different.
So I think the real question is, what was it about? I think Moonlight, arguably, just from what I've seen from photos, probably had equally as good a cinematography. I think it comes down to the story. And while I think La La Land was a beautiful story, and I do think that they strayed from the Hollywood formula by changing the ending, I do think the story, as great as it is, as much as it appeals to us, and especially us who are freelancers, who are dreamers, who are artists, I think there's something about the Moonlight story, especially the parts that are based off true story, and just it's an under-nominated story, that kind of story. I mean, not a lot of Spike Lee movies get nominated for telling those stories about, drug addicts and drug dealers. And yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's a good question.
Well, and I've had this argument for years because I also got pissed when Moulin Rouge didn't win.
Oh, what did it lose to?
It lost a fucking Beautiful Mind. Which was a paint by numbers Oscar winning film. And that's the thing that drives me nuts is these movies that are clearly made to be award winning films. Like that drives me just batty.
Crash.
Well, that's I've never liked the Oscars because one, it's not my style of film. A lot of it's the artsy kind of, which is horrible to say for a cinematographer and a filmmaker, but it's not my kind of film. They're always the ones that'll let's release it in December, so it's up for all these nominations. And to me, it was the year that No Country for Old Men and There Will Be Blood came out. Hated both those movies. They were awful, and also the assassination of Jesse James by the coward. The 3 hours of my life I slept through. Yeah. But they're all these movies that just are not my style. I've said it before, I've said it again. I'm an action movie. I love that stuff. As long as I'm entertained by any movie, it can be artsy, it can be whatever. I'm great. Mm-hmm. But that's why I haven't seen any of these movies. Is because I'm not going to go pay $20 in a theater to go see it.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big blockbuster IMAX movie, or in the case of La La Land, or for me, it's animation.
Right.
That's
By the
what
way,
I see in theaters.
The artsy movies can cost you $6. It's the animation, the action ones that end up costing so much to see it in IMAX. Just
not
saying,
always. True.
Logan tonight.
Yes, we are.
Here's the thing for me as a filmmaker, I recognize the drama as being great for the director and the actor, and cinematography is one thing. I would argue crafting a complete and emotionally impactful musical is a much more difficult task.
Absolutely.
Than crafting a drama about drug addicts, a drama about NASA. To pull the feels out of a musical, especially in a time where people just
don't buy into it.
Buy into that.
I mean, people will be like, oh, it's a musical,
format.
I'm not going to see it.
Yeah, you get that all the time. To craft a musical that has such an impact that so many people were like, oh my God, you got to see this movie. That to me is Best Picture. When you overcome all the odds to actually get butts in seats to watch your movie, and it's a movie that nobody thought you should make. Nobody thought he should make that movie. He struggled to get the financing. He got the money from China, from a TV station in China.
Same thing happened with the artist.
Yes, exactly. That to me.
Of course, the difference with the artist is that the actors are relatively unknown.
Which I love.
Which I also loved, whereas these love them, but a pairing we know very well.
Mm-hmm. But it's I find the whole process of making a musical much more complicated than making the dramas. Having made a musical, having made the dramas, like crafting a good musical takes so much more.
I can see that.
I mean, the truth is, it's hard to argue against that.
And for me, Best Picture should be the film that worked the fucking hardest to put butts in seats on a complete picture.
I think in the end, it needs to be the whole completed story, visuals, sound, story. That's what it decides it, not who worked the hardest to get it there. It's whether the
it's saying it still has to be excellent. I'm not, I'm not, I mean,
it's an added criteria,
but if you want to get into the technical aspects of what's more complicated, making Rogue One's probably more complicated than making any of the rest.
I don't, and no, and I don't think it's yeah, exactly. I don't think it's about what's more complicated. I think he should be.
But of the
for
films
innovation.
that were nominated, of the films that did get nominated, I look at them, and I looked at the summaries of each movie, and I didn't watch all of them, but of the movies that I saw and of the things that I know of the films that were made, I just still very much feel like La La Land was the one that took the most cohesive effort to make a successful film of those movies, and the most bravery, the most skill to do well. That's my opinion.
Right. And it's your opinion based on having not seen Moonlight either, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I agree with you, and I would have been very happy if La La Land won.
But I've also seen a gajillion movies about drug addicts and recovery and all that stuff. And
yeah,
it's not.
Well, do you have any more interest in seeing it now that it's won?
Moonlight?
Just to see, just out of curiosity, to see what, why, if it was just straight up a political win, or if there was something more to it.
Well, I'm not ever going to say it's a political win. I didn't say that.
And I don't think I don't mean I meant like Hollywood politics.
Yeah.
Not.
Well, and there is the Oscar so white thing too.
Right, like that's more what I'm referring to.
So I won't as a person of some color myself, I won't go there.
Yeah.
But yes and no. I'm interested and I'm not interested. And part of this too is my own thing. I'm a recovering drug addict.
Right.
I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to watch those movies.
No. I get it.
So there's a certain amount of that too.
Oh yeah.
Like, I just don't want to see it. But,
I just think there's something interesting about the fact that so few people have seen Moonlight.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, like so few people watched it.
Yeah. So how do we know?
And we know a lot of actors in this business who get the screeners, and I didn't hear any of them talking about that movie.
Oh, really?
Nobody in that group of people that I know who get those screeners were like, "Hey, I watched Moonlight, man. That movie's amazing." Nobody. I didn't hear that from anybody.
Well, but we don't know if anyone got to see those screeners.
I mean, they're all voting members of the Academy. So
okay. Well, there you go. There you go.
But I heard them talk about La La Land. I heard them talk about Hidden Figures. I heard them talk about a couple of the others. But Moonlight never came up in conversation.
Interesting.
So,
And you won't go to the political thing.
I won't go to the political thing. I'm just saying that of the people I know.
Right,
it was
I know.
not the movie that stood out.
So why do you think it won then?
Now, the Academy is a huge number of people. And also, not a lot of them are from San Diego. So most of the people I know are San Diegans.
Yeah.
So their tastes may not match most of the Hollywood elite who are doing the voting. But I don't know.
Yeah.
Any other disappointments?
Yeah. Fucking Star Trek didn't win for makeup. Fucking Suicide Squad.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
I did see a side-by-side picture of like one of the Rogue One characters' makeup and then, Harley Quinn. And
it was good, but it wasn't definitely not better than Star Trek.
Yeah, look, Harley Quinn was fine. The Joker, I mean, you could argue that it's a good interpretation or a bad interpretation, but it's decent makeup.
Nah, it wasn't in it much.
Killer Croc, honestly, I wasn't impressed. I mean, that Killer Croc's the most complicated piece of makeup in that movie.
Yeah.
And there was nothing about Killer Croc that made me go, damn, that's fantastic,
Right.
You go and watch Star Trek, there's 57 different alien species represented, and they all look incredible. Giant shell heads and like little people with like weird things. And, I was blown away.
Was it Star Trek or Rogue One?
It was Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Oh, it was Star Trek. Oh,
I was blown away when I watched Star Trek by the makeup. I was absolutely floored by it. I thought for sure when I watched the movie, this is going to win makeup. This is incredible. The amount of work, the amount of detail across the board, so many variations in the makeup, and all of it really well done. And one movie with like 3 characters in kind of heavy makeup, 4 arguably, and only one of those is, Killer Croc.
Yeah.
That beats out Star Trek. Again, where's the
logic? I don't
logic
know.
in that, and where's the what makes the good makeup award? Like Best Picture.
Yep.
Who worked harder? And who did a more consistent, high quality effort through the film? I mean, Star Trek I'm sorry, it just killed Suicide Squad in that. I don't get it. I don't get that one at all. That was a huge upset for me.
For me,
Huge upset.
that's one category, but I've got a couple other best visual effects.
Hello, Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange
fuck?
should have won.
Wait, who won?
Jungle Book, which was great. It was good. They did a great job with it. I'm not putting that down at all. But if you saw Doctor Strange and how that folded around in the 3D and dear
Flawless.
God,
Could not have done that movie 10 years ago.
No,
Probably.
you couldn't have done that movie 5 years
Yeah,
ago.
for sure.
It was flawless in its execution, and I don't know. Those were the two like most baffling ones for me.
and the other one for me was best animated.
I thought it was going to be Moana.
Zootopia versus, and this also happened with
Let It Go.
no
That's not
not Oscars. What's the last? Is it Golden Globes?
Golden Globes, sure.
Best animated. Zootopia won again.
Yes.
Zootopia was good, but Moana, the animation is freaking phenomenal.
Well, and the music in that,
And the
too.
music, the story, everything. I get the underlying story of Zootopia, race and all that stuff.
That's why it won.
That's why it's won. Better than
If you compare the two of them in terms of effort, they're about the same.
Moana has way more animation than
But it has way more animation, but animating fuzzy rabbits and stuff and making them look believable is quite a feat.
try water and hair, and it's you haven't seen it. You still need to see it.
Well, I've seen
Yeah, I
a
know.
lot of it, not all of it, but I did watch all of Zootopia, and Zootopia is a really, really good movie. And on top of that, it's a really good script. And I think, look, I haven't seen all of Moana, but I cried watching what I have seen because I saw I saw my mom and I saw my people represented on screen.
Right.
And it means a lot to me to see that. I even talked about it in the Intellectual Talk Show this week. The impact of seeing Moana was very, very strong for me, but I knew walking out of Zootopia that Zootopia was going to win this year. So that wasn't a big surprise for me. I walked out of that movie and I went, that's
the movie.
This is the movie that's going to win because this is the script that,
Both.
is so different from the rest.
And then the other category that both happened at the Golden Globes in this, it was really tough to vote for, was Best Original Song. Because La La Land is such an amazing soundtrack, but so does Moana.
I thought you were going to be upset about that too. Yeah.
I'm not really upset, but it's like, how do you vote for that? Because they're both freaking amazing.
Well,
Although I listened to Moana soundtrack like every day for the last since November, since it came out.
Yeah. I think the La La Land song though is a real earworm.
Yeah.
They're great, but I would argue, my only argument, just to play devil's advocate, is that, again, I prefer great lyrics, great song. It matters who's singing it. Moana is recorded and it's great. The recordings that we get is of Ryan Gosling, and quite, no offense, I don't love it as much. I think it's a great song. They're great lyrics. It needs a better artist to sing them.
Well, I think the Ryan Gosling version of the song is the film appropriate version of the song.
Yes. I'm all about them having not.
Because he's
I
a
like that they use the
struggling
real voices.
musician.
Yeah,
He's,
yeah.
It's all that stuff, which means he's not supposed to be
That's true.
John Legend.
Well, and he's a pianist. He isn't necessarily a singer.
Singer, true. Very
Exactly.
good.
Exactly. So, no, I wasn't surprised by the win there. I kind of knew you'd probably have a beef with it, Mike.
For song, or
but the
for,
thing is,
for,
and you didn't the song, but you didn't.
See, I didn't really.
You also didn't watch the performances on the show. Did you? Did you see the performances of all the different songs?
No, I just watched the
the
John
girl,
Legend
the girl,
one.
The girl who does Moana's voice, like sang it live.
Unbelievable.
And she got hit in the head in the
saw
middle
it.
of the song.
She didn't
and
flinch.
she kept on going. She
Yeah.
didn't flinch at all. I couldn't believe
I
it.
posted that on Facebook. And I said, look at this time. She didn't even flinch.
Yeah. Absolute pro.
She's
man.
16.
It was amazing.
I'd like to see her in the future.
I said that
sure.
today. Watching her on stage today, I was like, she just had the best audition in Hollywood you could have.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously.
Because she's adorable. She's got a great voice. She has a wonderful
She's only 16
smile.
and she's
Talk about professional. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I think we'll see a lot more of her. I hope we see a lot more of her. Because I thought she was fantastic.
Yep.
And the Rock's suit was.
Was it?
I wish I could have that guy's sense of style. I love the Rock. It's like a blue velvet.
Everyone's got a crush on the Rock.
Like a blue purple velvet, man.
I love the Rock.
Everyone loves the Rock. Dear God.
I will say, I do love it whenever a guy rocks a colored suit. I think, what's his name?
Note to self.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She actually complimented
I
me
did.
the
I
other
love
day,
his new
'cause
blazers.
I've been wearing all these new blazers. All
Yeah.
these colors
I'm
and
all
stuff.
about, I think there was something, listen, the only good thing about men in the 50s were their colored suits. The black and brown, I love it, especially blue suit, the maroon. That's pretty good. I know Ryan Gosling's done it a couple of times, and Andrew Garfield too. So just goes to show they should be asking men about their clothes as much as the women. Hashtag feminist moment.
I'll keep that in mind for future red carpets.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the point where we're at a point here locally where we can go, what are you wearing?
Kohl's.
Yeah.
Well, this is one of those things. There are designers in San Diego. You know, there are people who design, and there are shops, and there are places we could start going to. And
Yeah, I mean, I know
and making
Jody
that a
has
thing.
someone who designs her dresses as well. She always gives them a shout out. Like Rachel did my hair for Film Week. You know, it'd be nice to give her a shout out. But at the same time, I think I'd rather be on the red carpet asking them about their experience on what film they worked on and that than ask them about what they're wearing that evening. Personally, if I had the opportunity.
The difficulty with a red carpet interview, though, is you only have
30 seconds, maybe a minute. Yeah.
You know, so it's how much substance can you actually get into talking about somebody's project. You know?
Well, and I don't think it's the subject. I think it's just that the people responding need to have rehearsed, nice, short, clipped responses.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of the long-winded, well, let me tell you the story from the beginning.
Yeah. It was... Whitney and Keith Foster and I did the red carpet for the gala.
I watched
Film
it.
Week. Did you watch it?
Well, not
like
live.
The whole thing? The whole hour and a half?
God, no, but I watched it for a while. If you look, I liked it like several times.
I know.
Yeah, I watched it afterwards. I couldn't sleep one night, so.
That was really hard. It was hard to talk to people because, like you said, they hadn't thought through how to respond to questions, how to talk about their film in a short, succinct way. And some of them dragged on.
Oh yeah, and I think
nothing against anybody who talked for a long time.
No. And I think, carpet. I mean, you could tell clearly that you had the most experience as well. I mean, Whitney and Keith were great, but you could see where, you know, I mean, yes, I do think it's a combination. It's on both sides, absolutely. I think it's great that we get to do it.
Whitney's, you know, she's only done like 2 carpets prior to that, but she's doing really good.
Oh yeah.
And Keith, I don't think had any red carpet experience prior to that night.
And he, another wonderful man who wears the colored suits and bow ties.
That man wears suits like Ryan Seacrest, man. Like he's he's gorgeous in his suits.
Yes, good job, Ashley.
I'm envious of Keith's suits.
Yes,
like big time. But no, it was a lot of fun doing that carpet with the two of them. And I like that we're live streaming our carpets.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
I think it's a lot of fun doing that. I think as we continue to do that and people start understanding that we're doing that, and
absolutely, because people are going to want to watch themselves. You can't help it.
Yeah. And I did see some people from those carpets like downloaded the video, cut out their little section, and were posting on Facebook their little portions.
I mean, listen, hey,
You know, it's
Decent
easy
PR if you
PR
use it
for
right.
them. You know,
Yeah.
and that's the whole reason why we do those carpets. And look, somebody last year made some criticisms of the film awards here in San Diego, like, oh, fake it till you make it, blah 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 blah.
Don't they
you know,
make those comments every year?
They do, but I'm specifically referencing last year. And here's the thing for me: we are all up and comers. Our award show focuses heavily on short films because that's the breeding ground of talent. And San Diego right now is a breeding ground of young, fresh, hot talent moving up. There were a lot more features submitted this year, which is fantastic, and it's a trajectory we want to see our filmmakers heading in. But it's my belief, and I've spoken about this with Jody, it's my belief that the Film Awards should stay focused on local short films as the primary source of what we give awards to. Because when we go into features, we should be competing against everybody else. We should be moving our features to try and get into the Oscars, to get into the Emmys, to get into all of those things.
And I don't think we're there yet.
And
I think
we're not there
want to
yet with our
encourage
features,
both.
but that's where we want to go. And so we'll always have a little bit of the feature film. But if we turn our award show over to San Diego features as the primary deal, look, we're never going to have more than maybe a dozen feature films being made in town in a given year.
No, and I don't think we should necessarily focus one over the other.
But we only have so much time for broadcast.
Right, but I also think
we only have so
want
much time
people.
to
We
give the
want to
awards out.
encourage people to grow beyond. There's some really great shorts out there, but we want people to challenge themselves to take it a step further, to dive deeper in the story, to try for a feature, because we're never going to move up as a community either if people don't take those chances.
And beyond 40-hour competition.
And
I love the 48, but it's
a lot of them are 48.
It's so much what San Diego is.
Here's my argument about the features, though. Everybody making a short film, that should be their goal, is moving to making a feature film. Winning awards as a short filmmaker can lead you into making a feature film. So it's really important for us that we're giving people awards, that we're providing opportunities for our local filmmakers to have bragging rights, to have a pedigree that allows them to get to where they can make a feature. Once they make a feature, their feature should be competing on the grand stage. And winning a San Diego Film Award for your feature isn't going to give you the pedigree on that feature that it does for you as a short filmmaker. I just don't see that. I don't see that ever being the case, because
but I do think it allows you more of a
because the
safety net for
features
your
need to be
first
trying to
feature.
get into Sundance. They need to be trying to get into Santa Barbara. They need to be trying to get into Palm Springs. They need to be trying to get into Tribeca. Those are where the features need to be going. You need to be getting your premieres in big festivals. San Diego International Film Festival, San Diego Latino Film. The big film festivals are where our features should be going. And they should be winning awards there. Those are the awards that are going to matter to the features, for distribution, for everything else. Winning a San Diego Film Award, I don't think it's going to be that, because they're only competing against San Diego filmmakers. And that's 12 films, like in a given year. They're competing against a half dozen to 12 films. Maybe if we're lucky, we might have a year where we have 20 movies. It's just never going to carry the weight.
Well, which is why I don't think you need to worry about one replacing the other on the focus. I get where you're coming from, but unfortunately, I can't argue
the point.
very well.
The San Diego Film Awards, we focus on short films. We focus on people who are building their craft. Part of building our craft is also understanding how to conduct yourself in a public setting.
Oh, yeah.
And having our film awards and having a red carpet at the film awards. And this is why I'm pushing for our red carpets to be more professional, to be more conducted in a televised format. I want to provide opportunities for our filmmakers to practice being award recipients, to practice those rehearsed responses to questions. How do you conduct yourself on a red carpet? Where do you position yourself to the camera?
That's
how
true.
do you work with the person asking you questions? Those are skills.
Yeah, even holding
Those are
the
things
mic.
you only those are things you only learn by doing.
And you can't throw any actor into that.
Right. So
Let alone people who are crew,
yeah,
Right,
purposely stay behind the camera.
Right. Oh, that I've said it.
So look, our film awards are as much an opportunity for our local filmmakers to have a valid way to train, for moving into those categories, to moving into those spaces as their careers grow.
It also gives them a valid place to submit their first feature that they don't maybe feel is ready for.
Exactly.
Sundance.
And that's...
So that's why we still need to have features.
I'm not saying dump the features.
Okay,
I'm just saying
that's good. Yes.
we shouldn't have 20 feature film awards, where we break down every single category within the feature. Not yet.
Yeah.
We need to keep elevating the features a bit too,
The shorts, you mean. Yeah.
But before we get into a position where we're doing, best sound mixing for a feature film.
I think what's also really important is
we're not the Oscars.
The Film Awards is in its
you're all good.
fourth year or fifth year now. Is this the fifth year?
Fourth year.
It is the fourth year.
We're graduating from high school this year.
Nice. Top of the class. The thing is, it's still, I definitely see the Film Awards as we're still learning. Every year we learn new things to take from it, and we don't know until we kind of put it out there what's going to work and what's not going to work, if it's too much, if we need to scale back a bit.
If you look at the awards that are being handed out from, the categories that are there this year versus the categories last year, versus the categories the year before. Obviously, Jody and you and everybody else who's working on that stuff, you're making adjustments as it goes. And I think that's fantastic, But I know, I'm going to throw Jody on the bus. Jody made a post on Facebook like 2 months ago. I really want to make the focus of the Film Awards the feature films next year. And I jumped on that right away that I thought that was a mistake.
And I remember that. And I think that can get us into a lovely conversation about how social media and Facebook needs to be taken with a grain of salt, should never be the place where official announcements are made.
Which is unfortunate because I feel like that's a lot of this community is through Facebook.
Every job I've gotten has been through Facebook or in-person meets. Absolutely.
Yeah. But,
and to go off of what you were saying about training people for their public image, I see Facebook as a perfect example of how we're not seen. Like, that counts. This is not, as much as I'd love to just every single day on my status say exactly how I'm feeling because I'm a millennial and apparently I think everyone cares.
I care.
Oh, thank you. That's sweet. I know it if you like it.
I don't care that much.
Exactly. See, so that's.
I think I like everything you post.
I think the point is though that I think people conduct themselves.
Poorly.
People just kind of people just say whatever on Facebook, and I think if it's related, and more importantly, I don't care if you do it on your own page. It's when you do it on other people's pages, when you do it on the Film Consortium page, when you do it on the Film Actors page. If it's not related to film, it's not a place for arguing about film that then eventually gets turned into politics, because that's the thing lately. I think
there was a fallout after the day after this film week.
Oh,
I don't want to get into it, but
no, I'm not going to. It's. For someone who, like, I sit there and I listen to it and I have to sometimes bite my tongue, it would be nice if other people did too, because I know some people are joking and stuff like that, but, I'm going to come to Jody's defense. She must have really, really thick skin, because I don't. And how hard I worked and how little sleep I've gotten, and the fact that I'm in the middle of the move right now, and to have people even in joking way do it, it hurts my feelings. It's
some of those people who are making those comments are the people I'm referencing from last year.
Yeah. I think, And I think what matters, like, listen,
I'm going to be honest.
If you're not involved,
one of those persons is an intellectual, and I'm pissed.
Well, I don't think. Listen, I think unless you're involved, unless you're part of the process and seeing it happen, I think it's I don't think it's fair to say that it's a clique of people, or I just don't think it's fair to make a whole lot of comments about it, because we're doing it for you guys. We're not doing it just for ourselves. I mean, it's great. It's a chance for me to meet everybody in the community and connect and get to know them on a personal level. But it's also like we're honoring your guys' hard work, because the Film Consortium is about bringing the film community together in a supportive manner, not in a destructive manner.
Exactly. And it goes back to what you said. Like, if you want to be part of the community, volunteer your own time.
Yeah.
Watch these films.
And you know
Be
what?
part
We
of the
had
judging.
plenty of people who
Do
did
anything.
that. We had plenty of great people. Dan Butler
Last
came in
year-
and volunteered our Facebook marketing. Susan Davis, and she was in like several times. To
I'm playing
vote.
devil's advocate. I don't do shit.
No.
I help out a little bit here and there, but
and you
I
don't complain. You don't complain about
Absolutely
and you
not.
didn't try to finagle me with ticket sales either.
No, of course
Look,
not.
last year I got a lot of flack last year, about
Yeah, I know.
being nominated so much. And a big part of it was people were like, oh, you're helping with the show and you're voting on stuff, you must be voting if you're, look, I went to every single day of voting last year. I didn't vote on my own movies. I voted on everybody else's because I genuinely wanted to see everybody else's films last year. I watched every single film that was eligible for nominations last year.
And I think it's a great thing to do as a producer,
Every single
just
one.
in general. But my other big thing too is that what was I going to say? To go off of what of that this year, it was definitely like Mike Brueggemeyer got nominated for a bunch of stuff, and I definitely heard a little bit of that. And he came and he voted, and yes, he sponsored one of the workshops. But in the end, he didn't get nominated for film awards and stuff like that. He didn't necessarily win. Like, it's just, he made a lot of great movies this year, and he submitted them too.
Yeah.
So submit your films if that's the
There's
issue.
a lot of people who are bitching and moaning who don't submit their stuff at all.
No, I know. And I know a lot of people have issues with, the forms and the submission process. But, like, again, it's just a community.
Well, you know what?
I'm not a lawyer. I'm sorry I can't, go through the
all
form
that
and
crap
make it
is just
perfect.
part of being a filmmaker too. Submitting your films to stuff is part of the deal. I don't get it. Anyway, and a lot of the stuff Mike had in Film Week this year was like oldie but goodie stuff too. Like all of his stuff wasn't eligible for film awards.
No, She's the Man wasn't. And, yeah.
So it's whatever. It
I think there's always going to be that, which is fine. It's just
I think my big argument is like Mike. When it comes down to it, you can sit and bitch, but until you've come out and volunteered,
I agree. Yes.
I think you sound like an asshole.
Yeah. Well, I
do.
Yeah.
If you're not going to come out and volunteer and be a part of helping propel your own community forward, you just want to bitch that your movie didn't get into something. And sometimes, you know what? You might like your movie, but other people don't. Mm-hmm. I make lots of movies that people don't like.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. Jody doesn't like half the stuff I make. I show her something, she goes, eh. It's like, and that's crushing and it hurts, but not every film you
your
make.
cinematography and discontinuance was awful. I don't know.
But not every movie you make is going to register with every film goer. That's just the simple truth. And it's not going to register with every person who's judging. And just because you think your film is fantastic, it probably is. But you know what? There were a lot of fantastic movies submitted this year, last year, and every year
I was
they're getting
really
better
impressed with the quality
and better
of films
and better.
overall this year. Just blown away, because I did see a lot of the films last year as well in the vetting process, and it's the improvement. It's huge. People are making longer shorts, and it's really great. I think there's a lot of good stuff coming down the pipe, and I'm excited to see the results this year. So yeah.
I'm looking forward to the film awards. And they are San Diego's Oscars.
Is there a way for people to see these movies beforehand?
Well, that's the thing. Is it's these films that have been nominated and stuff. They're all in various degrees of going through their festival circuit runs.
Right.
They're not necessarily all available for people to watch.
Well, that's why Film Week
They
is
were
an
all
opportunity.
played at Film Week.
Yeah. Well, yes.
Majority.
Unless they were
Majority.
asked
There was-
not to be.
Specifically if they were waiting for another festival and having
So there's
premiere
only
status.
maybe a
Yeah.
couple that didn't get
Handful.
screened at Film Week.
And I think they
you
were
know.
a feature anyway.
Yeah, there's a couple.
But
that
you
I
want to
really
watch the
see.
movies, you come to Film Week. That's when they were shown. And it's
And some people will be doing some soft premieres and other ones throughout the year. Just going to those
Again.
events and
watch the community. Pay attention to what's going on in your community.
Mm-hmm.
The opportunity to see these movies is always there.
Yep.
And a lot of these movies screen more than once locally. They'll screen, if they're a 48, they'll screen at the 48. And then usually the ones that are decent enough to
screen international.
screen into the best ofs. We'll screen at the best of, and then they're at San Diego International Film Festival, a month or two later.
Right.
And I mean, the opportunities are there. Last year we had Life in Reels had a night where they screened a whole bunch of movies. Jaron Hall had the March of movies in March. Lou Martinez had Night of 1,000 Burritos. I mean, there were opportunities to see so many good films throughout the year because people were putting on screenings. Pay attention to the community, watch what's going on. I announce all of them on the show. Whether they ask me to or not, I tell people on this show constantly when things are happening and things that they should be going and attending. Stop complaining. Be a part of the community. Don't just make your movies.
Well, and if you're going to complain, do it on your own private pages. Don't do it on public pages. That's my only thing.
Yeah. Don't go into the community page. And
don't be a dick. Don't be a dick.
That's the hashtag for this episode. Hashtag don't be a dick. But we've taken a huge tangent off.
I know we have. Sorry.
But, it's inevitable because Allie, yourself, you're more involved than even I am. But I'm helping produce the Film Awards this year again, and it's important, and I do believe it's important, and I don't view it as a fake it till you make it deal.
And here's the thing: I think how it's important is seeing how people react when people do win, and when people don't win, seeing how upset they are. You feel it, and you can't help but take because it's a recognition of how hard you've been working in this community. Yeah, and I think it's going to be great this year.
And I liked at the very end, at the end gala, seeing all the nominations and seeing people's reactions at that point.
Me too.
Was really cool.
Yeah.
One film I haven't seen, which I really want to now, is Patrick Burton's.
He
is so nominated for absolutely everything.
That blew me away.
It was so hard for me to keep my mouth shut when he showed up for the party because I recorded all those.
Had no idea.
He was jumping.
He had
up and
no
down.
idea.
Yeah. And that was, honestly, I don't think anyone saw that coming. It didn't even get for the 48. It didn't even get nominated as a best of the 48. So I think, just to go to show that it's whoever's judging and what they think. And I'm so happy. I'm really excited to see the new edit of that as well. I think another great one, just because it's different and it's really cool. I really love Tonic. It's the one with the piano.
Tonic's incredibly cool.
I thought as far as
I thought for sure that was an LA film.
Sound design. I was so proud that it wasn't.
Yeah.
I know it's.
I very much thought.
I know it's only a month till Film Awards, but it'd be cool to see if we could rent out Ultra Star or something and just do the best of, or somehow just to see
Here's what I can say. I know that Jody and I have been talking about doing a couple monthly showcases of a few films, either ones that didn't make it or ones that did make it and people couldn't see and things like that, especially some of the features that were super early.
I think a night. I think doing a night where you screen everything that actually wins stuff would be.
That could be really cool.
That'd be really cool.
Because I know last year, after the Film Awards, everybody was asking me where they could see Lefty, where they could see things happen, where they could see the various films that I was associated with. And
right, that's even better.
I was able to
do it afterwards.
I was able to let people watch things happen online because the Film Awards literally was the end of the festival run for things happen. But Lefty was was supposedly starting its festival run at the Film Awards last year.
Oh, okay.
We haven't done anything with it.
No, but I think that's an excellent idea. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a really good idea.
Screening night of the winners would be a great idea.
And I think it'll definitely take the help of those winners to help, make it happen and everything, because we can't just rent
you can't do it yourself.
I would love to. I wish I had my own home theater.
Well, it would be awesome because the show's airing on CW6 on April 9th.
I believe that's correct. You're right.
If we could get our act together, and we should talk about this with Jody.
If
we can get our act together beforehand and schedule a screening at a theater here in town, we should advertise on the show where people can watch the winners from that night's program.
Well, we should do it so that the screener then would have to be after the 9th because people seeing it on TV right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that would be fantastic.
You would
the
get
other
way
thing
more
we need to
people.
do, we need to get more people who are
Outside
outside
the
of our
community.
film community
It's the
coming to
hardest
watch
part.
our movies.
That's the
That's
hardest part.
brilliant.
And being
sir.
on CW6 is going to be a huge opportunity to branch our audiences out.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
I think that's
We really should do that.
That's great. Oh my. Sounds like a lot of work. I'm happy. I'm so excited about it. No, that's actually, I think that's a great idea.
Just cringing.
Okay, we'll talk to. I will talk to Jody on our
Her
behalf.
crease between her eyes is going. Do you want me to talk to Jody? Or do you?
No, I think it's a great idea. I just don't know when there's time in the day. But yeah, I would love to.
But that's the
I think-
thing.
no, I
is
think it's a
like,
great
is
idea.
like that could be an opportunity to actually sell tickets.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that'd be great. It'd be great for someone like me who, as much as I want, I worked it, so there was a lot of stuff I didn't get to see all the way through in a theater environment, which is the way to see it, not on your computer screen. So yeah, I think I love that idea.
Yeah.
I think
And that would be an interesting thing if we could get like maybe 2 screenings on a day on a weekend after the 9th.
I think that's great. Let's maybe start with the one.
Well, no, I'm just saying like it'll be showing at 7 p.m. and 10 p.m.
Oh yeah.
At this theater. Buy your tickets online.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I think that'd be very cool. And it would be the best way to take advantage of the fact that we're screening out on CW6.
Yeah, I think it's
It'd be fun to
already
do a little
cool.
demographic like survey too at the theater. Going, hey, are you in the film committee? Yes, no.
Yeah.
Are you like
Where did
to
you
see
hear about-
like exactly where'd you hear about?
I'm
To
all
see-
over questionnaires at films.
Oh God, yeah, 'cause
film screenings.
you'd still see how much we got from just that one channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a big thing is promoting it right. I think it's a great thing as long as we can, fill the theater and, I think that's.
When are all the parody videos going to be dropping?
Well, 2 of them already. The sizzle 30-second ones already dropped during Film Week. If you went to the screenings, you would have seen that. The rest should be. There will be airing on CW6. We have one more parody we're still working on producing and getting out there, but I know the Star Wars one is ready. It's really cool. It's awesome. Derek Acosta did a great job with that. And the other one, which is a Shining parody, that was also kind of a Jordan Hates writer's block, is awesome. Ryan Castleman directed it. Ryan Kelly's DPing and editing, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. We got Beth Gallagher in it. We've got Carenza as Marilyn Monroe. We've got Shane
I love
Allen
those two. And
as-
him.
I know. I had my sister's back. Shane Allen as goodness gracious, that's terrible.
Which movie?
Orson Welles. Thank
Okay.
you. Sorry. Yeah. So, and we have some other surprises as well. So,
Cool.
yeah. They should be dropping in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, next week or 2.
Awesome.
When is Film Awards?
April 2nd at the Music Box Theater. Tickets are available online now.
Yep.
It's early bird
Get
time.
your early bird
1
tickets.
month away.
Yeah, it's early bird right now, so get your tickets while they're cheap because they will get expensive.
Yes.
Music Box
And they
is a
actually
nice
are
one.
a decent price right now. So,
Yeah. VIP
And
right
if,
now is
if
only
you
like
guys
$50.
didn't go last year, Music Box is a cool venue, and it's worth it.
It's
gonna
super
be the
cool.
party of
We
the
definitely
year.
worked some kinks. We're going to have our, pre-reception and red carpet at another venue. So there shouldn't
downtown
be issues.
works. It's a block south of the Music Box. It's on the same street. Very cool venue. I checked it out. Brian and I walked it a week or 2 ago when we were working
yeah.
downtown. The red carpet's going to be there.
So general admission, there shouldn't
So
be issues
general
getting
admission,
in.
you'll get in, get to
You're
the
gonna have
bar,
more
get your
space
drinks,
upstairs
have
on the third
fun,
floor.
hang out. Yeah, it'll be cool. It's
I
going to be a
believe
very
there's going to
good
be some
night.
behind the scenes stuff going on as well. So it's going to be a really exciting night.
And we will be live streaming the red
will.
carpet again. So if you're at the Music Box, you can be watching the red carpet on your phones and stuff while
And
you're
watching
while you're
Dave's cell
partying.
phone bill go up.
No kidding, right?
Oh,
Jody,
that's
you're
how they
gonna
get you.
my overage. So anyway, April 2nd at the Music Box. Get your tickets now. And then the broadcast will be on the CW6 on April 9th at 8 p.m. right there in prime time on a Sunday, which is pretty amazing.
Pretty awesome, yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
San Diego.
Yay, San Diego.
So it's going to be great. And, come support. Even if you're not nominated, come.
Even if you don't believe in awards,
come join us for the party of the year, man. Yeah. It's a great night.
Best dance circle I've ever had was last
so
year.
much
Oh my God! At the very end of that was I forgot about that. That was awesome.
First of all, it was such a swirl of a night, and it was crazy. That was so much fun.
I forgot about
That's when I broke my film award.
Oh no! Oh, that's too bad.
Remember, I refused to put it down. I danced with it all night, and then 30 seconds before we were done with the last song, somebody bumped it out of my hand.
I totally forgot about that. Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was
a good time.
That was well. So,
But I fixed it.
Yeah, it'll be great.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So come join us. Look, I got to be up in Burbank Monday morning for a gig. I'm still gonna be there partying.
Yeah.
So come join us. Come have a great time. Allie, thanks for sitting down, talking a little bit of Oscars and a little bit of film awards and everything else.
Next year we'll do a full Oscar preview with predictions and.
Well, I think we all got a little off track. I think because this was the first year of film week.
Oh yeah,
and so it was just kind of like everything kind of overtook that. And,
absolutely.
Quite frankly,
my apartment and car can speak to that.
yeah, and I got lost in my own stuff too because I've been trying to dig out of a financial hole. So I took time off last year when my mom fell ill, and then I spent a lot of time traveling because I just. I just didn't want to be home.
Yeah. Hey.
So I've been working my ass off the last month or two trying to get out of a financial hole that I dug myself into. So, but next year, definitely next year, let's make sure that we watch more of the movies, and we'll do a much more formal prediction episode. And then
gotta get Steve back in here. He's my other artsy fartsy. He likes the.
Well, that reminds me, Steve Schwartz is recovering very well from his gallbladder surgery. He is no longer with gallbladder, so it can't bother him.
They parted well.
I do know that he's on a liquid diet for a while, and he's been given instructions to completely change how he's eating. He's already gone vegan, but he's basically been told he can't carb up anymore. So no carbs, no sugars, all that stuff. So he's on the mend. He's doing better. He'll join us again when he can. And, Steve, we're happy that you're doing well.
Yes, very happy. We missed you.
And you freaked me out, dude. It was right. I was going into Joshua Tree, and I was out of cell service, and
oh no,
I couldn't keep tabs on.
Didn't have service 99% of the time, which we'll talk about next time.
Yes, we'll talk Joshua Tree. Check out my Facebook page and Mikey P's Facebook page for some incredible photos.
Shot by yours truly.
Some of them were shot by me, dude.
That's true.
Not all of them were you. Most of mine were all shot on my iPhone, which is even more amazing. So, Mike, thanks.
Always a pleasure, man.
And everybody else, we'll catch you again on the next episode of The Intellectual Podcast. And if you haven't already, go to theintellectual.com and check out The Intellectual Talk Show. Our episodes go up on Monday nights. This week was with Jaylen Moore from History Channel's new hit series 6. About the Navy SEALs. They just got picked up for season 2, which is fantastic news. And they go into their season finale this coming Wednesday. So that's nice, Allie. So watch the episode, learn a little bit from Jaylen Moore, what it was like to train.
You almost made it through the entire episode.
I know, it was so good.
Learn what it was like to train to be a Navy SEAL on TV with Jaylen Moore on the History Channel's series 6. That's Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. And I'm David F. Dawson. Thanks for joining us on the Intellectual Podcast. We'll talk soon.
Hello there, citizens. I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the floaty that will not flush no matter how many times you try in the toilet bowl of crime. I am Darkwing Duck, telling you please, talk hard and enjoy the mindgasm. Whatever the heck that means. After all, you are watching Intellectual Podcast with your ears.